Okay. Good evening. I'll call to order the public portion of the March 10th, 2025 Ware Board of Selectmen meeting at 7:12 PM. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment, and while anybody's getting up for public comment, I'd like to announce a reminder that tomorrow are town elections, Tuesday, March 11th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Ware Middle School gym. Hope to see everyone there. And a reminder that the town clerk's office will be closed that day. The balance of the town offices are open. So, anyone for public comment?
Nobody else is. Hi, Bruce Fillmore, 181 Gould Road. Just letting everybody know I'm running for selectman, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Do I go now, Mary?
You must be Dr. Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. We have a few things in front of you, but not
It's
too
no big
much.
deal, I just didn't know.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the department head committee items, and Chief Rourke, we've got the hazard mitigation plan.
Good evening. As everyone knows, we've been working on the hazard mitigation plan and trying to get that finalized so we could get working on it. There is one thing I need from the board, and that is to have signed a copy certifying me to be able to sign, and it has to be notarized. After that, everything could be sent in. All the other documentation that was needed, I've already gotten from Beth, so we should be good to go. And this is the document. Same thing.
Okay. All right. So this goes back to the state of New Hampshire, correct?
Yep, it goes back to the state of New Hampshire and then goes to the governor's office. Also, just while you guys are looking that over, you did ask me to look at other avenues, which I sent you guys in an email, but I'll just say it publicly that we did reach out to Southern New Hampshire Planning. They asked how much the grant was for, and I stated it was for $9,000, and I said that's what they would do it for, which is the same price that we were getting through MAPS, the municipal planning systems, who is June out of Twin Mountain. I recommend it to the board, and I'm saying again tonight, I recommend that we have June do the hazard mitigation plan, as I think it would speed up the process, as they already have information from our emergency operations plan, which is different, that they could coincide and possibly use to speed things up.
So I think first and foremost is a motion that would allow the chair to sign this certificate of authority that will go back to the state of New Hampshire. Would anyone like to move that? This is in regard to the grant from the Homeland Security and Emergency Management dated January 27th, 2025.
So moved.
And specifically, it's the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Agreement. So that was moved by Selectman Pratt and seconded by Selectman Drury, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say yes or yay.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? That would be me because I'm the signer. So the motion passes, and this is the copy you want signed, correct?
That is,
Okay. Yep. That's signed. She needs to do her seal and
Correct.
stuff on.
Yes, yep. And I
sure
can
she'll
pick
get
that
you
up tomorrow.
They'll send it in directly, but I'm assuming you want a copy of it for your records.
Yes, because I have to send all of that in as a package
Sorry,
into the state.
take that back. They can tell you what they're doing with it.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, and the second issue was whether or not we wanted to award the work to be done under that grant to Mapping and Planning Solutions, which is the acronym MAPS.
Correct.
It's the company that is currently doing our emergency operations plan, and the other quote that you have was for the same price. So you're recommending that we go with MAPS for the ability to import at least some of the background and some of the information between the two plans.
That is correct.
Okay. So, any further questions on that for Chief Rourke?
Makes sense.
Nope, none.
Okay. So does this get signed by the chief or by the board?
Whoever you authorize.
Okay, all right. And is that normally the chief that would do that, or is that you?
Most of the grants you did with the police, you let Chief Moore do it because that's who the interaction mostly occurs with.
Okay. So I would accept a motion to authorize Chief Rourke to sign the agreement with MAPS, which is Mapping and Planning Solutions, in the amount of $9,000 to be funded by the grant that we just talked about for the hazardous mitigation plan development.
So moved.
Moved by Selectman Bloom. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Pratt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say yes or yea.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0. So you are authorized to sign that. Okay,
Got it.
anything else?
Quickly, the overhang has been taken off the side of the South Station. Highway Department did that. Thank you. Shout out to Jason and his crew. The guys up there did a great job. And just to let you know, engine 2, with the pump issue, that is in progress this week. Some of the parts for the pump went out to the machinist, and they're working on that. I expect it to be back in service late next week. So right now, as of right now, we just have one engine in town. That's engine 5 running out of the center station. Other than that, I got nothing.
All right, well, hopefully everything goes smooth with the pump.
Yes.
A very quick one for you. I know you guys do this all the time. One of the other hats I wear is leader in the Cub Scouts. So we were down there last Wednesday.
Yes.
So appreciate everybody, Wayne in particular. I think there was a call like right before we got there.
There was, and I was actually in a meeting with New Hampshire Forest and Lands with the warden's service, so that's why I couldn't stray away from that.
Yeah, but yeah, especially with a group of little boys and their attention spans, he did a good job of keeping the pace going. And we did some time at PD as well, so thanks to them as well.
Great. I'm glad you guys have a good time up there. Door's always open. Anything else? Nothing? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, Director Fisk is up to talk about snow removal and ice control policy, draft policy update. Is this the one you sent out on 221? Okay, I don't need a copy. I've got a
Is this
copy.
the take-back one?
This, so.
Was
what
there
I
an
did-
update?
I made a couple, just
Okay.
small edits, nothing, just formatting. really.
Okay,
Oh, there's pages.
Yeah, so-
well, all the attachments, which
Page
I
numbers.
didn't print out. I just printed out D before, which was the.
Yeah,
terminology.
so I was just put all the appendix in this document, with page numbers and stuff. I know I got feedback from you guys last time about that, so just wanted to get that done, before I brought it to you, so.
Yeah, I guess the first question I had is, this is an existing policy already, you're just making some updates, right?
Yes.
Okay, so do you have any idea when that original policy was put in place?
There's
and how many
one-
updates it's had?
There's one in '04 and then there's one in '16.
04 and 16? Thank
Yep.
you. That's in the new copy? Got it.
They're called two different things on the website, so if you search plowing, you'll get one. If you search snow and ice, you'll get the one. If you search plowing, I think you'll get the one from 2004. If you search snow and ice, you'll get the one from '16, so.
Can we get the one from 2004 off there?
Yeah, I just wanted to get this updated, then we'll get rid of those other two and put this up on the website, get everything updated.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess, maybe to jump to a question I had kind of about that. So there's a separate, snow plowing ordinance document that's on the website. And so a couple of things about that. There's the section damage to private property, and then immediately after that, snow plowing ordinance. The second paragraph of the damage to private property says it is unlawful to plow snow onto town roads in violation of RSA 236:20, but that's kind of captured by the snow plowing ordinance. And then I went looking at 236:20, and it carves out an exception for if you are clearing land. If you're clearing snow from land, from property on one side, it says that is allowed to actually push the snow across the road. Which seemed to surprise everybody who had run into that. So, not to open a can of worms, but
Yep.
it did seem to call into question some of the language about the snow plowing ordinance, at least the ordinance as it exists. The ordinance on the website specifically says plowing across means you take it all the way across and you're leaving snow on. So it doesn't have anything to do with actually going across, as I would think it may be commonly understood of like, oh, you're pushing snow across the road.
It's
saying,
leaving
like,
it
you're
in the
leaving it
roadway.
road. Which I think is a fair thing to not allow. But the RSA, the one that we're quoting here, 236:20, does say you are allowed to go all the way across the road, as long as you're not leaving it in the road. It also says you can put snow in there if you're gonna get sleds through.
Okay.
I will do some more research on that.
And I guess, so I had a similar question, if we were getting rid of the old documents, it looks like you're maybe combining them into this one. If that's the case, does that mean we're, I guess reinstituting the ordinance? And if so, is it even legal as written, given RSA 236:20? So just, if you're gonna go look at it, just keep all that in mind.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
my,
another question, does the other snow removal ordinance where you can't plow, does that go away as well?
that, in my opinion, kind of like the other documents that I brought you reference a different ordinance, like the solid waste hauler. That kind of references the solid waste ordinance of the town. This is the same thing, that ordinance is already in place, this just referenced that ordinance. Or this policy just references the ordinance that's already in place in the town. So I can do a little bit more research on that and get some clarification for you.
Yeah, and maybe that should then be under governing laws and town documents or something, and reference that ordinance there,
Yep.
potentially. Okay.
I had a couple of other questions, maybe going back sequentially. Salt-free areas, which is, there's a section by itself. Okay, salt-free areas. And you said, so the copy that you just handed us, you said so we've seen it all, but it's all just put together.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, it's
I'll
just
make sure I'm
all
not leaving
together.
things that
Yep,
don't exist anymore.
yep.
Um,
The only numbers that I changed was the amount of salt that gets used,
Okay,
as a whole, and the amount that's stored at the highway department.
okay.
Because between, that 2004 ordinance, or that 2004 policy and this one, a new salt shed was built, so.
Great. So I thought it was could use a little clarification. It says certain roadways are designated as salt-free to protect natural resources, especially drinking water. And then sub-bullet, gravel roads are always treated with sand, never salt. These areas are clearly posted with signage to inform travelers. So I think there's one way, you could read that to say gravel roads are the only salt-free areas, and that these areas, being gravel roads, are clearly posted. But I don't think that's,
So there is, reduced salt areas across town. Quaker Street, Knox Road are just a couple that come to mind. So I guess that's,
and that was
What's-
one of my notes, was knowing that there's some reduced, so, there's
Yeah.
salt-free, but there's also reduced salt. Maybe worth adding that distinction in, and given that it could read, that gravel roads are the only salt-free.
Yep.
And that gravel roads will be clearly posted, maybe just change the order of it.
yeah, I'll get some clarification there.
And then, kinda like we're doing with all the road signs and the stop signs and whatnot, do you have a list of those already that we could include, like, in another appendix?
I can do that.
For the reduced salt, no salt?
Yep.
That's what you
And then, the next thing I have is the next section, damage to private property. It says the town is not responsible for damages to private property located within the public right-of-way, which is typically 50 feet wide. How would a resident know what the right-of-way actually is that they may be concerned about?
I know there's resources at the town hall here that, can tell you what the specific right-of-way on your road is. I do have a book at the highway department that has most of the town roads, what their right-of-way is.
And really, I just ask the question, so that whatever the answer is, if we could put that in there,
Yep,
rather than just say, oh, typically, because how do you deal with an exception?
yep,
And if the answer is you have to come down to DPW and check, that's fine.
yeah, I can put something in there, contact DPW or something like that for specifics.
Jay, we can also, we could scan that book and put it on the website if you
Yeah.
wanted, because it's public
Yep.
information. It was done by a NEC college student as an internship. So, has all the book and pages and things
Yeah,
like
we-
that. We could add that to it.
Just put that on the website.
And the next thing I have is in Appendix D, so if anybody has anything else.
Under storm notification back on page 1. The first bullet is for the DPW director or public works director to assess road conditions and activate necessary personnel and equipment. And then I'm assuming you initiate the call procedures and notifications. I don't know if you need to get to that level of detail or not. The next two seem like they're things that are done during the storm, not storm notification.
Okay.
So I don't know if they need to be under number 3. Because you're not,
Yeah.
maybe it's part of how you determine your call-out, is the reason they're in there?
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think maybe, pre-storm preparation needs to, notification needs to be its own thing, and then pre-storm, preparation can move down to where that notification is. You move that first bullet back up to notification, and then the pre-storm will do the sand salt, or salt sand spreaders. Treat the first 1 to 2 inches, any snow accumulation, 2.5 to 3.
Yeah, I think
plowing
that
will
would
begin.
flow a lot better
Yep, yep,
to the public that may be reading this.
yep.
We've already talked about the ordinance and the reference there, so that's all I had.
So if we can jump to the very last page, Appendix D, Item 1. So it's, which I think is great to have terminology. The first one is treat roads, but then it, uses the word in the definition, treat roads, roads will be treated.
Yep.
So I threw out, something about application of material to the road surface, just something that doesn't, what does it mean to treat? And then I had a question. It says the mixture will be applied along the center line of the roadway covering a width of 2 to 4 feet. Is that accurate, or is it the center of each lane?
It depends on the road, honestly. Some of them are 22 feet wide, some of them are 16 feet wide. So,
That's what surprised me. I was picturing like a 2-foot strip. that-
yeah, so when we go out with straight salt is typically run right down the center of the road. And it spreads from there. As far as mix, that gets spread at a little wider pattern to give traction, as well as for the salt to melt the ice and snow. So I can do a little bit clarification there. Again, I don't make it too long-winded, but
Yeah.
I'll get as tight as I can with it.
Well, I think it's one of these, I'm glad it's here. It does, the other side of the double-edged sword is, then somebody comes into your office and says,
You didn't do that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
why did you do it this way when it says you're gonna do it
Yeah.
that way?
so I just want to make sure it's as accurate as possible now.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything I had.
I have nothing.
That's it?
That's it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Try to get this done with all the other ones and get back to you guys on it.
And then you've gotten out of here. Let's-
It's been a while. Anything else? Yeah. The only thing I got is shout out to the DPW guys today. They came in, set up voting booths, so everybody get out there and vote. Make sure you made your opinions and your voices heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, next on the agenda is Frank Campana, going to discuss the 2024 earnings report for the police department. You said you had a handout. You told me that when we were up here for a different reason last week.
I actually,
Still-
Frank
Have that.
Campana, Quaker Street. I actually have several handouts for you. I'll
Okay.
do them periodically
Thank you.
to make it a little easier for me, I guess. Like that. I only did, to make sure I give you the right one. I only did one copy, so you can share that,
Okay.
please. What I just handed to you is a statement that I spoke to Naomi about it, that I would like included in the minutes, recorded in the minutes, and I will read it. When someone questions actions of a department whose job is law enforcement, that someone and family members can become a target for retaliation. A police department has an unlimited number of scenarios to fabricate false allegations to entrap individuals. The reason it's that department, because that's what my reason for being up here is tonight. So I felt I needed something to,
You have a copy?
if you will, cover my rear end.
You have a copy of that? Okay.
The second handout that I have, I think I made enough copies. did make copies for the board.
Okay, thank you. It's just one page?
Yes,
Thank you.
that one is. Actually, I think you should have an extra copy.
We do.
Okay, that's mine. And one of them may say, don't hand it out, but one of those double-sided?
No.
Doesn't make any difference. Okay, what I just handed you folks was a copy of the Board of Selectmen's meeting on November 25th of 2024. It was towards the end of the meeting. Selectman Bloom stated that during the police CBA negotiations, a request was made to modify the town report to show paid detail money separately from individual officers' salaries. The board agreed that a lump sum of detail money will be included, showing what is paid for details and what is used for vehicle repair. The chief and Beth will work together on preparing the language for that report. And here, I guess I better do this one now. You folks. These are copies.
Thank you.
That's a two-sided document. I thank the town administrator for that suggestion and her help with that, so that you will not need to reference a town report. It will be a little bit easier than dealing with that. So, with that being read, if someone wants to look at the town report for '24, they will notice, as you have the handout, that there is not, for the police details, there is in fact no reporting. This is on page 103, 102 to and 103. There is not a reporting of detail, what the officers earn for detail, individually. And I will use this, I went back a number of years to 2012. I had to stop there, I didn't want to go back any farther. This is the town report of 2012. And in it, and consistently and up to 2023 town report, when you look at the earnings of the police department, it shows a number of items that make up their salaries, okay? And some of those, their longevity bonus, education incentives at that time, overtime, uniform allowance, and special details to the officers that do the details. And I'll just give you a couple of ideas what that reporting included for detail earnings. The different officers, one was $1,700, $6,000, a couple of $10,000, one at $240, $19,000, $20,000. And if I was looking for this, I'd never be able to find it. But there was one for a little over $17,000, and that was detailed, paid to the police chief, then police chief, not this police chief. So the police chief back then found it appropriate that he got himself $17,000 more in pay for detail. The only reason that showed up is because it was printed that way, all right? That information is there, and it's public information. So the public needs to understand, I'd like them to understand, that the request by the police to modify, and I will say, I did not look at the YouTube. I had enough aggravation in reading the minutes, quite honestly. So I'll start. The union's request to modify the 24 town report means not to include individual ascribed detail pay in the cops' earnings. History in the town reports now appears as one total sum, which at the back page of I gave you was $129,000. So, which in fact, if you look at the 24 book, there's no detail money listed there. There are other things, longevity bonus, overtime, grant raises, wages. I think there was insurance buyouts. So there's a number of different things. But conspicuously, detail is missing. So what I was prompted to do is I contacted the finance administrator, and she always seems to oblige me. I asked her what document, because previously she was involved in, putting detail wages in the book. So I figured she must have some type of, log of that information. So she did. She provided for me a summary. For the police department, earnings history, summary by employees. And it's each individual officer. And I'm not using it, I'm not going to use any names, there's no need to use any names. My point is, there's information that's missing. But you notice that one that has the breakdown for what the cops earn, I highlighted for you an officer, and that's the one, it was just, the way the things work. So that officer, let me back up a bit. That officer earned $14,000, over $14,000 in pay, in detail pay. Well, it doesn't show up in the book, but that's what he earned. So if you look at that officer, you'll see in the town report, as stated there, he made a total of $74,000, a little bit over. And that included those other things that I mentioned, grant wages, insurance buyout. I don't know that it applied to him specifically. Well, actually, it included holiday pay, the officer's pay, base pay, overtime, and grant wages, okay? And only shows up on here that I asked, the special detail of $14,000. So that $74,000 is an erroneous number, okay? And it's not a true number, it's a false number, because you have to take the $74,000 and add $14,000 to it. I didn't do the math, I don't think there, all right? So his total pay, all right, as headed in the, with the heading in the town report, the employee earning history, is now $89,000. Okay, and you can make the same, the same comparison for the other officers. As examples, there was $14,000 in detail pay for that person. There was $19,000 for another, $15,000, almost about $50 short of $16,000 for another, a couple of $1,000 for another person. Now, these are all dollar amounts that have to be added to the numbers that are in the book.
So just to understand what you're reading there, she gave you the breakdown of what the 129K was. Is that-
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, yes, that's right. Another 14,000, 9,000, there were 10 officers that were, that had detail out of the force, 10 out of the force. 15,000, couple of fives, $2,000, a $2,000 detail, which actually the couple of $5,000 details increased the officer's pay to $120,000. I didn't indicate who the officers were, so you wouldn't find them. And then another almost $13,000. So with the addition of the detail pay to be included, as has been done since 2012 up to 2023, all right, you get a true representation of what the officers make. An absolutely true representation. This here, the 24 book, throw that page out. Throw page 103, 102, 103 for the people out there. Throw it out because it's not true. Special detail, well, I already did that. And I did the summary. So I'll read it, I'll put it this way. In the town report, as I say, is not accurate and it's misleading by the amount absent of each officer's detail pay. And I went through the examples. So my statements are going to be this here. The police union wants to hide that portion of the individual detail pay. This opens up a wide variety of speculations as to why. The only thing I can think of is next time it comes due for negotiations, okay, the cops are going to use the number in the town report. They're going to say, well, I only make $74,000. Again, this is certainly speculation on my part. I only make $74,000. So, I want to bargain for more money. More money. Well, that's not true. You made $89,000. I don't care where it comes from. It's what they make. All right, is the bottom line. It's what they make. And I will add this. One of their details, I think, I didn't double check with the finance administrator. I probably should have. But I think some of that detail, sometimes the detail even includes the high school when they had games or other functions. Okay, it's not necessarily the blue lights at the telephone poles, the tree trimmers, or the like. So it is taxpayers' money when they're at the high school. It's just coming out of my other pocket, that's all.
So the
So-
sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt.
Okay, go, that's all right. I'll hold my place.
I mean, the argument that was made to us is kind of your last point there, not the school, but that it is not, for the majority of the details, it's not taxpayer money. And so why in a taxpayer document of saying, where is your money going, why should that be shown right next to like their pay? So it is money that they are earning, but it's not taxpayer money that they are earning. There is also the carve out for like the cruiser revenue for the maintenance and whatnot.
Right, that's a separate item.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just keying in on this, what they put in there, what they cash their check. So,
And I
and,
guess You know, I would maybe further argue, I don't know that we ask any other employee what they earn doing any other kind of work. You know, if they have I'm contriving an example, but if they make something in their free time at home, we don't ask them for their earnings and show that in the report. And there's a distinction because they are using police equipment, to be sure. They are, you know, wearing the uniform and whatnot, but it's not town time.
Well, I had understood that from someone, all right, someone in the know. And like I say, I did not look at the YouTube. But if you look at that handout of the earnings history, you'll see grant wages. For each of the office, almost all the offices, grant wages, $132. Grant wages, a couple of thousand. Grant wages, grant wages, grant wages. Grant wages isn't taxpayer money either, but it's listed in here. I don't care about the other departments. I'm talking about a history of quite a number of years, at least double-digit years, of what's been done, and the public's right to know. So that's my throwback to you as a board, all right, that there is an accounting of grant wages, which is not taxpayers' money. Okay, so I appreciate you saying that. Let's see. I did the portion of the speculation. I guess I beat that to death, had beaten that to death. To earn, and you actually touched on my next point. To earn detail pay, a cop uses taxpayer-funded equipment. The uniform, gun, badge, phone. You know, when you see them sitting in the cars with the blue lights on, you know, for 4, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours a day, whatever it is, you can bet they're using the town phone to call family and friends. All right? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying they have the ability to use that, town equipment. And they have the car. So that is taxpayers' money involved amongst a wide spectrum of equipment. Now, the unions and Board of Selectmen, by the reading of the minutes, have agreed not to disclose individual detailed pay. I hope it doesn't continue. I'll be back appropriate time next year and maybe make a reminder to, you know, the new member of the board also. There is now a new low lack of transparency. There's a lie by omission. Now, remember I said the union, I've included the union in this and the Board of Selectmen. And a censorship of public information. That shows a disrespect to the taxpayers and disingenuous. Both of those are poor characteristics to ascribe to. So that's about what I had, about the way I wanted to present it. I think you've done a disservice. I'm a little bit more surprised at the board than I am. The police department, I can understand them. You know, they don't want it known. Thanks for your time, and I truly hope it doesn't happen again. And again, I just want to, you know, reinforce, I don't care about the other town employees, all right? Because those things are, and in fact, actually, if you look at the book, if people look at the book, you'll see at the bottom of most of the earning pages, I think all the earning pages, both earning pages, it's asterisk that an employee, you know, earns money from another portion of the book. You have to hunt and find, you know, by name, but that's fine, you know. So I hope the board gets my point. I'm very disappointed in everybody for agreeing and bowing down to the demands of the police union, as opposed to what the public deserves to know. Okay, is that my extra paper, maybe?
Yes.
I believe so.
Not that I want it. I won't have to use the town report. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Okay, and thank you, Selectman Pratt, for doing the year.
Thank you.
And I hate to see you go. Thank you, Naomi, again, also.
Looks like you have some town reports there. Can I see what a prior year looked like?
Yep, so I had these couple of pages. Should be this year's, yep, 24, this is 21. And so like he was just saying, on this year, it does individual earned wages in more than one department with an asterisk. And then, right, the summary,
But before it was here.
yep, individual. Do either of you wanna
I'll look.
see this?
I have both of those.
All right.
Any action for the board at this point? Any, go back to the union, any discussion? It's not something that has to be decided tonight if there is a decision to be made. We have a little bit of time. Hang on one second. We have a little bit of time before the next town report would go, but there's also possibility of maybe printing a correction that we just mail out if we chose to do something like that. You know, like put an announcement out or something. Not suggesting that that's what we should do, I'm just saying that that kind of thing would be more time sensitive than a next report. So, go ahead.
I didn't want to make it difficult for the board, the town administrator, or for the finance. I hear what you say about putting, because I was gonna almost state up here, you know, what's to prevent me from doing a townwide mailing and indicating those numbers, but I didn't want to put myself in that type, first of all, I couldn't afford it, but I didn't want to put myself in that type of position. I didn't think, you know, the cops needed to be put in that type of position. But what I would like the board, and, you know, there'll be one new person, whoever that is, to, you know, be akin to that for next year's town report. You know, continue what has been done in the past. I think it's worth, you know, having the truth being put out there. And, you know, I didn't think you needed anything action till next year, but I will be
Appreciate
back.
that clarification.
I will be back to remind the board well in advance of next year's town report. So, thank you again.
So with that follow-up from Mr. Campana, then, you know, maybe there's a sooner rather than later discussion with the police union to see if there's anything in between these two, so that we're prepared for 2026's report of 2025.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, you know, he called out the asterisks there, and it is, today it's for if they earn from another department, but, you know, one potential middle ground would be, don't put it in the buckets that they had been in, but have a separate aggregate, kind of like he had to go get this year. So the data's there, but, because, you know, their goal was, don't make it look like money from the town. But
Yeah, and I
mean, he's
completely
correct.
understand that.
You know,
Yeah.
he's correct in saying that that is money that these people are earning, and that it is using town resources. If it wasn't using town resources, I'd say like, that's no business of ours, but it is. Like, it is using town resources. So I don't know, that's the first thing that comes to mind, is maybe after the individuals, and since it's all the departments, maybe it would follow after sort of that summary information. and could include a little blurb, kind of like we had the blurb this year, about the summary, and explain that it is money that these individuals are earning, and it is using town resources, and we are recouping some of that, like for the cruiser. But it's not town taxpayer money all the time.
100%. Okay. So is that something, as the person who was involved in the last negotiation, that you'd be willing to put on your to-do list for some time in the next
Put it
couple
on a
months?
sticky note and stick it to my monitor.
Okay, that's all I can ask. Any other comments or anything else on that one? Again, thank you, Mr. Campana.
Thank you again.
Okay. All right, I think that brings us,
So are you at all interested in being part of a potential discussion, or you've said your piece, are you happy that we'll kind of work something out?
Well, I don't feel it's my place to do that, quite honestly. You know, I mean, that's up to, you know, selectmen's representatives and the union, you know. I don't want to get involved with a union negotiation, that type of thing. But let me put it this way, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. You've had a history of reporting it. Never been an issue until now. Again, the reason that it's an issue, and you know, I can understand that it's not resource, you know, town's resource money, but we all pay for detail, whether it's the tree trimming, whether it's public service, all right? You know, they're not, those companies are not paying the detail without passing it on to the customers. So look at it that way too, and I mean, you know, it's a no-brainer. So, you know, in a sense, it is taxpayer money, you know, because we pay the bills, you know, to the companies. But really, I see no reason, and I was just floored when I saw the change there. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel, you know. And put your foot down at the negotiation, you know. Tell them that, you know. Don't want to hide it. It's public information. It's what they make. That's the bottom line. Wherever it comes from, it's what they make. And that's what the public needs to be, at least have that available to them. So, thanks.
thank you. Anything final? Okay, we'll move on to Dr. Anderson. You met with the Conservation Commission, I believe, on February 12th. During that meeting, Conservation Commission suggested that you come to us and provide an overview of your concerns regarding the inactivity of the hayfields for the coming season. So thank you for coming this evening and appreciate your inputs and your time.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sticking with us on the agenda.
That's okay. As some of you or all of you know, I've been farming those fields since Charlie Brown gave them up in the, I guess it would have been sometime around 2000. I was thinking tonight I've been farming those fields for 25 years. And I know I get the play-by-play even as a New Boston resident from the landowners up there about the Conservation Committee and the Recreation Department being at odds about what happens to the land. I'll repeat, I know Selectman Pratt heard this, but I do have an interest in the land. However, the town land represents less than 5% of the hay land that our farm handles. So it's not this is not a life and death thing for our animals, whether or not we have the land. You know, if the land were taken away and put into ball fields or whatever, you know, I understand that, and I came before the board, I think Naomi said 12 years ago, and said this has a time frame on it for how long a guy from New Boston is going to farm land that the town of Ware owns. That being said, I explained to the Conservation Committee that this is a very poor producing piece of land without constant care. That land is all sand underneath it. we fertilize it 3 to 4 times a year, because in a heavy rain, the fertilizer disappears. In hot sun, the crop burns up. This is not unlike a lot of our land that's heavy loam, clay loam. It takes a lot of care to keep it productive, and there's years that quite frankly, we lose money on these fields. Why do I care whether it sits idle or not? No matter who comes in there next year or 2 years from now, if this land sits idle, there's going to be a thick carpet of dead grass that has to be dealt with. That grass is not conducive to a farmer, and it's not conducive to somebody trying to turn that land into playing fields. I was advised for tonight to try to get George Hamilton, the former county crop specialist, who's now retired, to come up here and speak tonight. He has a previous engagement, because they did, others who saw me speak at the Conservation Committee said that I do seem to have a vested interest in this. I have put thousands of hours into making those fields look green, so that when you drive by them, they look nice. So the landowners I work for are happy with what I do. The land on East Road looks better than my own land in New Boston. And I would hate to see the land left idle for a year. And long term, I understand if it has a different use, but you're creating a lot of work for yourselves down the road to not have that hay cut off, and to keep the land fertilized, so that when whether it's next year or the year after, when you do a soil sample, you don't look at it and find it hard to distinguish from a gravel pit for the lack of nutrients in the soil. So that's my concern. And I know you've been, obviously the board has been advised by someone that the best thing is to let this land lay. And perhaps for some legal reason that's the case. For the sake of the land and the person who's got to clean up the mess afterward, that is not the case.
I think you also had some concerns about it not being mowed, or,
Well, if it's not mowed, if it's not mowed, the grass is going to grow up 3 feet tall, die down. The second crop grass is going to grow up about 8 inches tall, because it won't have any nutrients to grow anyway, and that's going to lay down and die. And you're going to have 4 to 5 tons of dead grass to the acre laying there, and it has no value to anyone to go in and harvest it at that time. And you also will, if it goes to a second year, you'll see at least a 10 to 15 foot encroachment of saplings into the field from the forest edge, and that will have to be dealt with.
and I also thought you had a concern about the, forgive me if I'm using the wrong term, but the manure that's been delivered there, and whether or not
Well,
you can spread it.
If you decide that you want the field sitting there, the manure will all be removed probably by the 15th of April. We'll have that spread on the field surrounding it, and if the board decides that this land's going to sit still, we won't put a tractor tire on the rest of the field. We store manure there because it's the best place to store it, to not offend the neighbors. It's far off the road, and that's the reason it's there. We also store it up in one of the back fields at Mr. Brown's at the end of the road. We farm, we do all the fields from there to the end of the road. And the idea is to try to limit how much we offend people with odor going up and down the road with it. So that's the reason it's stockpiled there. And it has been for, 15, 20 years.
I was going to say, it's been quite a long time that it's been there.
Yes, yeah. But that will be swept clean and grass seed put in its place if you decide that you don't want us over there. And next winter, we'll obviously, if no decision is made, we'll store all of that back on Mr. Banks's property to not have it be an issue a year from now.
Okay.
So what is the timeline for when we would have to make a decision for this year.
If we could know by, if we could know by the third week of April, that would be great. Normally, we're applying fertilizer to the fields that we're going to be harvesting by the third week of April. Beyond that, the grass is high enough that we're doing more damage than benefit.
Are you looking for something because you have a follow-up? Okay.
We're all set?
Watch the button repeatedly, just trying to silence it.
Do you have any follow-up?
I do not.
Okay. Well, the information is good about knowing that the third week of April is kind of a drop-dead information conveyance time. So we will do everything in our capabilities, no promises, to get you some information by then.
No, that's fine. And by then, we'll probably have the stockpile of manure removed by then anyway, and we would, if we were going to put fertilizer down, we'd put commercial fertilizer down. That way we're not left trying to spread that manure on the town land at the last moment, so,
Okay.
okay? Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and your concern for the land.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything to add to that?
I do not have any.
All right. Okay. Moving down the agenda, we have two items, I believe, on the consent agenda. We have a supplemental intent to cut, number 24, 471-07T. And then we have the CAI contract for the tax map maintenance for April 1, 2025 through March 31, 2026. So all of those were in the metal box. Hopefully you've seen that. We did get a summary of the CAI contract in the front of that. So hopefully you've all had a chance to review that. Any questions? Okay. All right, that brings us to the administrator's report.
Obviously, you just read that the tax map maintenance contract needs its signatures. You talked about the hayfield. We'll have to put that on an agenda item as we can at least try to maybe get him an answer by third week in April.
Please.
Transportation that I had on last time got moved to the 24th. I shared that all with you. Hazard mitigation you did tonight. The traffic ordinance, I know you all signed it, but I guess I'm gonna ask that you make a motion to adopt it, because if you follow the path, you heard it for the first time August 26th, and then you just signed the document without actually officially accepting it. I know there was 5 signatures, but it doesn't close the loop if someone searches your minutes. So, I don't know. I just thought a motion to adopt and sign, as you've already done, would close the loop, so someone would know that it's been adopted.
Okay. I'm going to stop and do that now.
You can.
Regarding the traffic ordinance that we signed on 2/24, I will entertain a motion that it be recorded as formally adopted by the board on 2/24/2025. Is that acceptable?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Would someone like to move that?
So moved.
Thank you, Selectman Drury. Anyone like to second?
Second.
Thank you, Selectman Bloom. Any further discussion? All in favor say yes or yay? Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the food pantry. I know, I met with you in regards to that. I just didn't know what the next step was. We really didn't further anything after, I know there was a
No,
discussion.
we said that we would potentially look at a hold harmless or something, and I have it in my stack here, I don't know, here it is, TA report. To ask you, did we assign that action to me or to you or to anyone else? I don't have
No,
anything in
I-
writing that we did.
No, I don't either, because I walked away from the podium, came down and sat, and we moved on.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause there was a question about the insurance.
Yeah,
to
so
let the insurance company
who would
know.
I contact? I know it's Primex, but do you have a
Yep.
contact specifically?
Same, I gave you a same
Mary-
contact.
Mary
Mary
Beth?
Beth, yep. I think they weighed in on it too before.
Yeah, but
Yep.
this is a new
Sure.
question.
Yep, I'll let you, so you're gonna take that?
Yes.
Okay, Jason, when he left, I just had a question about, the solid waste ordinance update, the commercial hauler, and now the snow and ice. I think what I understood him is he's gonna make the corrections and try to come back with all three.
4. I think there were 4, weren't there? 3 before and the 1 now?
One, oh, the solid waste, the contractor, and then the solid snow and ice.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was 4, but I thought we did 3
Well, one you were
before.
gonna add to the personnel policy, which was,
That's it. There were 4 things. Okay.
and then the other thing I don't have where we, are gonna finalize any bylaws for Parks and Rec. I don't have a date for that.
Don't have the,
Yeah, you guys are gonna meet next week, correct?
yes.
Yep, okay, so I'll wait to hear from you till after. The joint BOS and CC meeting, just gonna go with the majority, I haven't heard from everybody. But I've got enough to make quorum with, well, only 2, no, I have 3 of this board and 4 of the other, so I'm just gonna stick with the one that was most popular was Tuesday, the 25th at 7. It was either Thursday, the 20th, or Tuesday, the 25th, and I get more on Tuesday, the 25th. That's where I have 3 and 4,
Okay.
so I'll stick with that. The other items on the agenda, I had them set here before, those dates can change. We talked about having a tax deeding discussion in March. Trustees of Trust Fund, that has been scheduled, we have a speaker for that night. Cable, I did speak to Cable, they're gonna meet the 25th, finalize their changes, and then I would meet with them after, have them come here after March 25th, their next meeting. So that's why I put April. I did also send you a draft that I had put together for minors, knowing that we're gonna be moving into hiring for Parks and Rec. Umbral, I have scheduled that, that's a non-public, and then, just so the Park and Rec outline, the 14th, they're gonna wanna come in here and hire the staffing, cause then there's onboarding to happen. Deputy Town Clerk, she asked if she could bring you someone on the 17th, we've concluded, on the land use person, we interviewed 3 more. I think you have a pretty good candidate that I'd like to also bring in, the 17th. The 24th, we're interviewing the final ones next week, Stephen, myself, and Mary Ann. The Energy Commission is still working on their bylaws, and I have not changed anything more than that.
Do you have any idea when we can get the Mildred Hall Advisory Committee thing?
No, but you are, I have pulled it out to start that, so I'm hoping if I can have some quiet time. Thursday seems to work best, because everybody, the clerk is closed, so they think we're closed too, so.
Okay, do you want to put on the agenda the policy for minors? Background checks when working with minors and seniors? Do you want to schedule that?
For which,
I'm just asking, is that how you want to handle it, is
well, I
like we
sent you a
normally do?
draft that
Right.
I had thrown together, but I
Right.
think last year we ran into getting near the end and we talked about being around minors and seniors, but we didn't Because I don't know who you're gonna have for supervisor. I don't know, they're still accepting applications till the 15th.
Right.
And then we've had not one application for the part-time rec director.
Everybody's waiting until after tomorrow.
Could be.
No.
I guess we'll, I guess I'd like to see us run parallel with the minors with the hiring. It was a one page, it wasn't too detailed.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I think you just said this will end up in the personnel policy,
The
correct?
draft for policy, yes.
Yeah.
That's where I believe it goes.
Well, I think this is a quick one if you guys want to do this next week.
That's next week.
What do you think? Want to do it next week?
Yeah, I'll be in the audience.
I doubt that.
Okay.
That's all I had. Excuse me.
Any update from the lady who fell in the parking lot or stairs or wherever it was?
Well, so I had to reply to Primex tonight. I had to go out and take some pictures. We're going to be putting up a motion light just because it's dark. It was pouring when they left. It was dark. But things seem to be improved. Saw her. She's running around on one crutch now and walking weight bearing, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I did have to take pictures tonight and send them over to Primex. They did ask if we had a camera, I said no. And then they asked if there'd been any reach out for any type of reimbursement or compensation, and I said no, because I haven't as of today.
Any
What
questions?
the plan was, just to let you know, there's, when you leave here, if you leave through the front door, there's a light, I don't think it's got a yellow cover, but it's up by the clerk's window, one of the clerk windows. We're gonna put a light that will pick you up. Yeah, it'll pick you up coming to the stairs as well, 'cause she's open late. And then it'll pick you up wherever you're gonna go, and then we're gonna put another one, so as soon as the door opens, they kinda will come on. So, it's like Fenway when we leave, so, but it would shut off. But that's already a live one, that really doesn't do anything on the side of the building, it's yellow. So he's gonna take that live and put on a new light. He was gonna go get a light and put one on.
Any follow-up for TA Bolton? I think that brings us to manifests. So I would like to motion to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated March 13th, 2025, as included in the following manifests. Payroll manifest, $79,016.81. Accounts payable manifest, $158,919.78. John Stark accounts payable, $250,000, and Ware School accounts payable, $700,000, for a total of $1,187,936.59. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Selectman Pratt. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes or yay. Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0. Brings us to minutes. We can do February 10, February 24, and March 3, if everybody's prepared. The file that was loaded for for February 13th is actually the same as March 24th.
One was labeled draft 0, one was labeled draft 1, but I couldn't find any differences.
Say that one more time?
When you pull up, click on March 13th, excuse me, I keep saying March because if you click on the minutes for February 13th,
Yeah.
it pulls up February 24. So there are no minutes for February 13th loaded.
Okay. Well, there were some, I just evidently grabbed the wrong file.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, they're not there.
Okay.
So,
I can fix that. You want to leave them until we can make it right? Is that what you're asking?
well, February 13, yeah, but we can do the other three. February 10, I had no corrections.
One, line 186. It says, Selectman Bloom mentioned ongoing work on planning ordinance documents in the CIP document, but that was, the ordinance was earlier than that, and so I believe it should read, Selectman Bloom mentioned ongoing work on master plan questionnaire and CIP documents. It's really just swapping ordinance with the master plan questionnaire.
Okay.
On 165, that motion passed 202. That was myself and Selectman Bloom that abstained. In 177, Selectman Bloom abstained, not myself.
But the number's right.
The number's correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's all I have.
James?
Oh, all set.
I'll accept a motion to accept the February 10th, 2024, 2025 minutes as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Selectman Bloom, seconded by anyone?
Second.
Selectman Drury. Any discussion? All in favor say yes or yay? Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0. Okay. February 24th, I did have some changes. On line 25, we didn't talk to a potential transfer station employee, an existing transfer station employee, so I would just strike potential.
Okay.
And on 39, last sentence on, with assistance, I would request that we say with fill-in assistance. The DPW, kind of backfilled their one-person shortage on some days. So fill-in assistance. And I had a question on 46. Director Fisk said the job posting for another attendant was already posted, but I don't see it, so
Actually, she removed them today.
removed it today.
Yeah. If you gotta e-subscribe, there's only about 4 things left under the employment opportunities.
Okay. 58, my name has 1 T, please.
Say that again?
My name has 1 T, please.
Okay.
And on line 44, we made a comment,
44.
no, I'm sorry, on line 95, 94, 95, we made a comment of Benji now being absent for the vote because he came in 7-something that evening. But we don't have it on 44 or 105. So for consistency, either add it to all 3 or take it off that one. It's clear in the minutes that he arrived there, but at 7:29.
So 44 is 4. What's the other one?
Yep, 44 says 4, which is correct.
Yep.
And so I'm not sure if it's because line 93 through 95 didn't actually have a vote, and that's why she said it. Just curious.
I liked it as written, honestly.
Okay.
What's
Because
that?
it's, you know, it's not a motion, and so if somebody were to see the page later and say, well, why didn't he sign it? They can come back
He
and say, oh,
wasn't
it wasn't there.
And it wasn't a vote, so that would be the difference between what's on
Yep.
44 and, okay, 105.
But in that vein, 178 says the motion was 400.
So we okay
was
with
there by
95?
I'm sorry.
We're okay with 95?
I think it's okay. Janice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the distinction was, I wasn't catching it, that Selectman Bloom educated me that line 95 has to, because it wasn't a vote. That's why she put it there. So that makes sense to me now. So then, he was there by that point on 90, would you say?
178.
178?
Yes.
But like, did somebody step out or?
I don't have
I don't-
my
yeah.
notes from that with me, so
Guess
we
that could
can,
just be double checked.
we can table that till next time.
Should we just look at the video? Is that what you want to do?
Well, I always write down in my notes too, but we could also look at the video, so either way.
Any other question on, what did you say,
178, is it 400 or 500?
right, and then I thought you said 144.
No, I think I just probably slurred 400.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I think you had been asking about 44 earlier, but that's.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
done and over.
Are the numbers correct on that payroll manifest? I had 112, 32509
The one that we just did, or
uh,
on this set of minutes?
on the 24th. Yeah, for the 24th minutes. I had 162, 96720 for accounts payable.
You have payroll of 102, 325.90.
I had 112, 32509.
I'd have to check, I get a copy as well as you guys do.
Yeah, and then the 213, I have 213, 24288.
Is she having to transcribe those?
It should be a cut and paste.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm
'cause-
wondering. Like,
Yeah, because Beth sent her one too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll double check.
Line 195, the researching supplier options, can we add in for electricity and heating oil? I don't want it to be assumed somewhere down the line that we're talking about who's performing the energy audits, that we're looking for supplier options for that.
Mhm.
Anything else? Okay, so there's a couple actions on that one, so I'm assuming we do not want to motion that one, Rick and Mike?
No.
Okay. That brings us to March 3. Anyone?
I had nothing.
thinking of.
Okay. At least they're short. James, anything?
You got nothing?
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept the March 3rd, 2025 minutes as written. Would you like to move that? Selectman Bloom moves, seconded by anyone?
Second.
We'll go with Selectman Drury to be consistent with the first one. Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes or yay? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0. We still have some non-public minutes that we've never approved first drafts of, or final drafts, whichever they are. October 21, 28, November 4, December 23rd, and January 27th. Okay, that gets us to correspondence and other business. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over Selectmen Committee updates. Anything?
There was supposed to be a meeting of the master plan subcommittee, but we did not have quorum, so that will be another week from now. Just double check. The 26th.
Is that just their next scheduled meeting, or is that a special one to make up?
No,
It's on the calendar.
yeah, I think it was already
Like-
scheduled.
I was just curious. It doesn't matter. Just curious.
I have nothing.
You have nothing?
No.
All right. You,
They meet tomorrow, so.
maybe
I
tomorrow?
mean, Wednesday.
Wednesday? Wednesday, the Conservation Commission is supposed to meet, correct?
Yep.
So is anybody of the three of us gonna go?
I think it's a light schedule.
It's very light.
Yeah,
I don't think, the chair's not gonna make it, so Steve's gonna
yeah.
do it.
He was contemplating whether they were gonna have it or not, so.
Gosh.
I can go if we want someone to go.
I think it's worth it. I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't have a Wednesday.
Right, but that would make it a Wednesday. Okay. Good? All right, I'll go. And then next week, hopefully, we'll have some new assignments, so anything you want me to button up, you can get with me offline, but I don't know of anything that there
Yeah,
will be.
there's nothing, there's nothing lagging on my
Hey.
end anyway.
The agenda's very light. They're gonna review the bylaws and they're gonna elect a chair and vice chair. There's one lot line adjustment plan to make someone's well house on their own property, which it's not now. And they get 2 sets of minutes. And they're gonna do a GIS update. That's what I remember the email saying.
The only other thing would be if you want to start a conversation about the Dr. Henderson's.
Mhm. That's one of the reasons I thought that
Yeah.
maybe it might be good for one of us to go, just to provide some feedback from what happened tonight. I'd hate to lose that continuity that you've created for the year, so.
Yeah, I mean, they're willing to, do what they can to keep the land, at least from
Mhm.
being overgrown, so. I'm not sure they know what that is at the moment. Or would be.
Do you have anything?
Just a reminder for folks that the park director position is open, and the park committee could desperately use the assistance. We are getting into that time of season where the director would be very useful.
Can imagine. Okay. The Cemetery Advisory Committee met last week and reviewed some policy drafts that updates. Those aren't yet ready to come before the Board of Selectmen, but they will be probably sometime in the next month or so is my guess, but maybe after the next meeting. So that's about it. Okay, so I think then that brings us to correspondence and other business. So in terms of other business, do we want to make a motion about part-time to full-time employee?
Yes.
We interviewed this evening one of our part-time employees for consideration to move over to full-time. This would be Devin Campos. He would be full-time truck driver at a rate of $24.72. And then after probation ends, $25.46, which is standard, so I don't know, we need to put those into the minutes. With a start date of 3/18/2025, and the standard probationary period would be amended to 3 months since he's already a part-time employee. So the standard probationary period, again, amended to 3 months. So would anyone like to move that?
So moved.
Moved by Selectman Pratt,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Bloom. Any discussion? All in favor say yes or yay.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0. Okay. We've already talked about the pantry, food pantry, that was on my list to ask who had that action. So we've clarified that. Chief Moore did send in some correspondence on 3-4 that the replacement Tahoe numbers are near final but not yet final. And it looks like once the insurance completes the reimbursement, there should be about $7,800 of unused funds that we authorized back in the fourth quarter of 2024. And those funds had been coming, at least partially, from the White Farm auction. Chief Moore is requesting that those additional unused funds of $7,869 be earmarked for the 2026 vehicle request as an offset. So I think that's consistent with prior year's practice, but I would suggest we wait until we have final numbers before making any kind of... Okay, so we don't have an issue with it, just wait till final.
Can we?
In the past, we've just said we're gonna earmark these things, so...
I just didn't know if you could do it that far out for 26.
Well, it would be, like, I think in the past, we don't know if that's technically been
Because I know
encumbered
the
or
end of
not.
the year purchase order
Right.
rolls into if you're not used it.
Right, and it's just that I don't know if
Looking
it's,
At the end of 25, how can we do that to 26? I'm just asking.
I know we've done it before,
Okay.
so I'm sure there's some way that she does that.
Okay.
If not, we'll deal with that.
Yep.
But I would suggest we hold off until we have final numbers. Last thing I think I had was this information related to the request that came in back in late November, early December. It was a letter and supporting documentation that was sent to the Board of Selectmen, and looks like from the envelope it was hand-delivered to the town clerk, and she was instructed to give it to a selectman. So she called me and I went and got it. It's a request for service-connected veterans benefits and solar credit. So the gentleman that sent this in did not want his information sent to any external party, which he explicitly said that includes Avatar, so it was not sent. I met with Mary Ann, and she advised me how the process worked, what they did, you know, how it was reviewed, but that Avatar is the one who does that and brings it forward with a recommendation for the Board of Selectmen to make final determination. So without that assessment of whether or not the qualifications are met, there is nothing for the Board of Selectmen to actually approve or disapprove. So, given his request to not share the information, I don't believe we can proceed with the request. So I suggest we send him a letter stating that, you know, we did honor his request, didn't send it. We can't actually process it, though, without sending it. So hopefully you've all had a chance to look at that, and if you're okay with it, I would accept a motion to have the chair sign on the behalf of the Ware Board of Selectmen.
I remember reading it back, and then I guess you had sent out a reminder. Are we obligated to accept an application if the facts are true? And are we, like, is there an RSA, for instance, that says it doesn't, like, we don't have to use Avatar, but we have to be able to prove it? Would we be getting ourselves in trouble if we said, no, we're not gonna do this, when maybe he has DD 214 or what have you?
I don't think you're saying no. I think
No,
you're just
it-
saying
and it
that
says
it's a
in
path
there.
to follow.
Yeah, it says,
You're not saying no.
Sure.
this communication should not be interpreted as a denial of the request, nor should it be taken as an implied acceptance if the documents are resubmitted in the future. Simply, it cannot be reviewed at this time for an outcome without sharing it with Avatar.
But is that strictly true?
Right.
I guess that's my point. You can say it's not no, but we're saying we will never accept this.
We will never accept it with the caveat that we can't share it with Avatar.
Right, and I guess my distinction is why? Why does it have to go to Avatar?
Because that's the only way that it gets entered into the assessing system. Gets reviewed and entered, according to what Mary Ann told me.
And I guess the review part is what I'm hung up on, is, why can we not just look at, somebody's release paperwork, what have you, that says this is certainly a veteran, and either take it at face value or, put in a request to the DUD, or, I don't know. I know it makes it more difficult for us, but it's certainly an exception, and yeah, do we have to accept it? Or,
The information she gave me was that there's no way for her to be able to do this without sharing it with Avatar.
I don't know about the veterans, but I think the solar one, you voted as a town that you have to fill your paperwork out to get your credit. In 2008, we had a warrant article put on by a gentleman that if you're gonna put on solar, you fill out the application, you have to get a building permit to solar, so we already know about it. So you just fill out the exemption paperwork, and it's not an issue. I don't know the details with the veterans, but you put up a solar array, you get a building permit. You fill out the exemption, you get the exact same credit, because it's 100%. So I don't understand the solar part. That's an easy situation. You either got a building permit or you didn't. And then when you get a building permit and you get your CO, you get the green paper for your exemption. So you just fill it out and you leave it there. And then, because without it, they're gonna pick up the building permit and they're gonna do it. And then you're gonna be taxed for it, and then you're gonna look at an abatement. But in 2008, the town voted long before that 100% of your assessed value for solar was gonna be an exemption. So it requires a building permit, requires an exemption. As I said, I don't understand the whole veteran thing. I'm not commenting on the veteran, but the solar thing to me it's such an easy piece of paper that you just fill it out. They don't ask any questions. You got a building permit and got inspected. I don't know about the veterans, though. Are we opening a can of worms that anybody wants to come to you too? Right?
Yeah.
but if if that is what we are obligated to do, is my concern.
Okay, so, I think you're asking for more time to see if there's a RSA, so we're not signing this tonight. Okay. Good. Any other correspondence or other business? If not, I'll, we've mentioned it several times already, but tonight is Selectman Pratt's last meeting, so I publicly thank you for your insightful questions, always coming prepared to meetings, adherence to laws and regulations, and keeping the employees and taxpayers at the forefront of your decisions. So thank you for your service to the town over the last 12 months.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to setting the agenda for 3:17. So, we've talked about interviewing the deputy town clerk already, and you also want to,
And the land use administrative
Land use.
assistant, I did that at 6:30 under B and B. B for deputy and B for land use, and you'll get resumes ahead of time. 7 o'clock I had put for, you're gonna do two of them, pledge allegiance. Then I had public comment, department and committee items, I didn't have anything other than, I just added the review of the minor policy. I did look back at last year, the first Monday after town meeting, you had, on the agenda, or the agenda said BOS select chair, vice chair, committee representation, and then it also said BOS discuss meeting times and summer schedule, but that was in March. They were together.
the only thing I would add to that is review the calendar, and welcome the new selectmen. So,
And then they had the other traditional
and then,
calendar.
probably more of an action for next week, but all the newly elected persons need to get a link to that 91A training and the town email, both new and removals for people that are leaving. So I don't know how those are archived for folks exiting, so I'm sure you guys have a process for that. Anything else?
We kind of dragged appointments on a bit last year as we sorted out our policy. I think we should at least shoot to do that.
Yeah, so I've got most everybody that's expiring, so that, I was thinking either the 24th or 31st, you could have, I had the ZBA gentleman fill his out, because you only had one. Janice was, is still on the fence. And then I do have the planning, I've got most everybody, other than the cemetery advisories are 1 year, so we'll have to do them all again. But Monique has gone down through and everybody has filled out. I've got a file for them. So it shouldn't be as clunky as it was. We can bring them in second meeting. You have a couple conservation members too.
And I guess we could probably put out the same call as last year. Because we're always looking for,
Just refresh the one that's out there.
yeah.
Yeah. And, there's still those 2 or 3 inactive committees that are still officially on the books that no one has ever volunteered for in the last several years, so.
So you said review the calendar and welcome?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's important that, we go over all these upcoming meetings that you go over in your TA report.
Yep.
And things like the reviews that we do on the boards, committees, and commission appointments, that sort of thing.
We actually had someone reach out for a park and rec member.
Good.
Another park and rec member. I think they met with someone before too, last month. That one's filling up pretty fast.
There was someone in the audience at their last meeting.
Yeah, and there's somebody that emailed. I thought he was looking for the parks job, but he said member of the board.
And like Ray came to the planning meeting.
Yeah, I have his. I didn't want to put him on and then redo him, so I just figured I would just keep him in that whole group. So you're gonna have some new appointments and some reappointments. And I believe park next week. It was my understanding through Denise that you guys were gonna decide who's gonna be 2 years, who's gonna be 3 years. so that we have that consistent rotation.
Okay. Anything else for agenda for 317? Okay,
We're green.
we're green, yeah, it is St. Patrick's Day. Next week. Okay. Anything else before we go into a last non-public for the evening?
Okay.
Nothing? Okay. I will motion that we enter a non-public session under NHRSA 91A:3, number 2, A and C, for the purposes of continuing the staffing and hiring opportunities that we've chewed on over the last few meetings, somewhere over the last month. So this requires a second and a roll call vote. Is there a second?
Second.
You beat me.
I'm gonna go with Rory. Roll call vote, Matthews, yes. Good night.
Night.
Knapp's not here, Pratt,
Yes.
Bloom,
Yes.
Drury.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We are now in non-public at 8:59 PM.
Am I leaving?
Yes, please. This should be a quick one, and I'll just send you the,
At 8, what did you say, 8:59?
8:59.
Sorry.
I'll just send you the, what I believe should be the one-liner and the motion to exit and adjourn.
All right, well, I didn't do this yet. You did vote, right?
We did vote. We will adjourn the meeting after the non-public, and have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Don't forget to vote.